wise-loving viewers. Welcome to today's Science and Spirituality program on Supreme Master Television, the first in a two-part series featuring visionary, best-selling author and a leading figure in the field of science and spirituality, Gregg Braden, whose work blends the profound wisdom of the ancients with modern discoveries in genetics and quantum physics. Through this unity, Mr. Braden believes that both inner and outer peace may be achieved. Mr. Braden was born in the state of Missouri, USA, and during his childhood, his family moved around frequently, exposing young Gregg to a variety of religious traditions. Before beginning his current pursuits, Mr. Braden held a variety of computer-related positions and helped to build a team within a prominent company whose members assure the reliability of the Internet. Let's now learn more from Gregg Braden about his background, which played a pivotal role in his search for understanding.
I was not really steeped in any one specific tradition. So I was introduced into the Hindu traditions, into the Muslim traditions, into the Hebrew traditions, and I'm just as comfortable in a mosque or a cathedral as I am in a synagogue or a Native American kiva. And I think it was good for me to have that experience because it opened the door to many possibilities. And what I found was that while all the traditions described a piece of the questions I had, I found no single tradition that described the answer to all my questions. I looked, I couldn't find one that did. And so I began to ask myself, as a child, could it be that they're all parts of a greater knowing? And if it is, what would that look like?
To Mr. Braden, the idea that science and spirituality are symbiotic has long been a natural assumption.
But I had a belief personally, and I assumed everyone had the same belief. And my belief was simply this: I believed that there is no difference between science and spirituality, even as a child. So I believe that when I studied astronomy and biology and geology and physics and chemistry, I thought that's just the name that we give to the study. But ultimately what I was doing was I was understanding the mechanism of a higher power, the inner workings of nature, and the intelligence that I believe underlies all experience.
It was his search to comprehend what contemporary knowledge couldn't explain that led Gregg Braden on a 22-year pilgrimage to some of the world's most remote and sacred places.
So my path as an adult, I've spent the bulk of my adult life searching for the places that have been least disturbed by the modern world. My thinking has been that if I could find places that were least disturbed by the technology and the thinking of the modern world, perhaps I would find bits and pieces of the ancient knowledge that was lost more intact. Ancient knowledge, but not obsolete knowledge. The principles are powerful. Now maybe the way we describe it is not scientific, but the principles are powerful and they're valid. So that journey has led me into some of the most isolated and remote and pristine and beautiful places remaining on this planet today. Monasteries in the Himalayas of China, Tibet, Nepal, Bolivia, Peru, all through India, into the American desert Southwest and the Aboriginal traditions of Australia. And although all of the traditions are very different from one another, there's a common theme that links them together, and that theme, I think, is probably what brings us into this room today. And the theme first says that we are all part of this world, not separate from this world, that we are part of a living system, and that we are much more empowered beings than we've been led to believe in the modern world, that we have much greater opportunity to influence, not control, not manipulate, not impose our will, but influence what happens in our bodies, what happens in our lives, and ultimately what happens in our world.
Mr. Braden believes that we are on the cusp of a new era and that we all have an opportunity to participate in creating a bright future. His research and work have focused on helping humanity achieve the goal of a planet where only peace and love are known.
I firmly believe that we are living a pivotal moment in the history of this planet. Almost universally, ancient texts and traditions have told us that we will experience something extraordinary in our lifetimes, in our world, in our civilization, and in our bodies. So my path has been to first understand what our ancestors knew that we may have forgotten. Secondly, to marry that with the best science of our time into something that's meaningful in our lives in the modern world. And then thirdly, to find ways to apply that in our lives in ways that we can embrace in our living room, even if we're not scientists, that we can embrace with our communities and our families and our children, ultimately to help us to become better people and create a better world.
When we return, Greg Braden will speak about the secret divine pattern that he says lies hidden in the genetic code of all life on Earth. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television.